Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. And this is commonly known as Hump Day. From here on out, we're sliding into the weekend. And so I hope you've had a good week so far and looking forward to the day today. Want to encourage you along just a couple of lines here. Don't forget services tonight at 6 o'clock. If you can be here, that would be great. Love to have you for the service tonight. And then we've got a great weekend planned as we have our picnic following the service, our afternoon service as well, the cornhole tournament, and just a great opportunity for you to invite somebody to join you where they can join you for the services where they can hear about a God that loves them. And we can introduce them to Jesus. And so use this opportunity to invite somebody to join you, family, friends, coworkers, all welcome for the service. Have plenty of food for everybody following the service. So I hope you can be here Sunday. Be planning on that and look forward to that. All right. We are going to be in Psalm 104. Psalm 104. And we'll get started there. This psalm here is a little bit longer of a psalm. It's a psalm of praise to the Lord. And it just kind of describes who he is, what he's done, speaks of his greatness and awesomeness. It's just a great psalm of praise. And so let's we'll get into it. We'll see. I'm not sure how far we'll get into it today, but we'll see. Look with me, Psalm 104 and verse number 1. The Bible begins here, says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty." And so we see the kind of the preface of the psalm here, the description of really how the psalm plays out here, as we've described, as the psalmist has described God as being clothed in honor and majesty. Verse number 2, "Who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretchest out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever." And we see the greatness of the Lord here described as we see that he covers himself with light. He stretches out the heavens and he maketh beams of his chamber in the waters, and the clouds are his chariot. Just speaking really of the greatness, the awesomeness, and how big our God is. And then verse number 5, we see his power as it tells us of who laid the foundations of the earth. And then speaking of not only the creation, but also the sustainer of it, that it should not be removed forever. God is the sustainer of the earth and of all that is within it, and really even of our lives. Verse number 6, "Thou coveredst it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains." And we see this reference here to there being mountains under the sea, and we have the different topography under the sea being described here. Verse number 7, "At thy rebuke they fled, at the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys into the place which thou hast founded for them. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth." And here we see the reference, if you will, to the flood. And the fact that God brought the waters to cover the earth, and then also he caused them to recede. And he says, "Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth." And so God has promised that the waters would not cover the earth again. And we have that sign of the rainbow as a reminder of God's promise, that rainbow that is shown in the sky. And then verse number 10, "He setteth the springs into the valleys, which run among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of the heaven have their habitation, which sing among the branches. And we know that there are the lakes, streams, many of them are spring fed. And that the waters come from the fountains of the deep. They come from in under the earth. Verse number 13, he watereth the hills from his chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. And we see God's really his provision here as he provides for mankind the spices of the earth, and even we see the reference here to wine, to oil, and to make bread, which strengtheneth man's heart. And think about this. I don't know about you, but I thoroughly enjoy eating. I love a good meal, good food, tasty food. And you know what? It just brings a happiness to your heart, to your soul, when you've got something, when you enjoy something good to eat. And all that we have is given to us by the Lord. He's the one that provides the grass, which the cattle eats, which provides the beginnings of a delicious hamburger, a delicious steak, and so on. God provides for us. He gives us food. He gives his creation food, the animals food. Verse 16, as we continue along the food theme, if you will, the trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon, which he planted, and we get syrup from sap, among other things. And the animal kingdom, they eat of that sap. It says, where the birds make their nests, as for the stork, the fir trees are her house. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies. So we see God providing food for his creation, even the animal kingdom. He provides, as we read here, 17 and 18, he provides places for them to even live, and for their protection and their safety. God provided for them, and he provides for us as well. You think about this. God truly cares about his creation. He cares about the creatures of his creation. How much more then does he care about us? It is mankind for which he sent his son Jesus to this earth. And he truly does care for us. Look now, verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down. Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. The young lions roar after their prey and seek their meat from God. The sun ariseth, they gather themselves together and lay them down in their dens. And we see even the practices of God's creation as well. Those that come out at night and feed, and then during the day they go into their dens, and even during the heat of the day they're protected from the sun. And God has this plan for them and provides for them. Verse 23, man goeth forth unto his work and to his labor until the evening. O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. And that is so true. Look at the plenty that is found in the ocean. I like watching different shows on the Discovery Channel or Animal Planet about God's creation, the animal kingdom. And I love watching the ones about the seas and the rivers and the lakes and so on, and the abundance of life that is found in those. It is truly remarkable. Verse 26, there go the ships. In the sea, obviously, there is that Leviathan. Really, this creature is relatively unknown. We see a description of it in the book of Job. But these are enormous sea creatures that are described in the book of Job and even mentioned here. There go the ships. There's that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. And then verse 27, these wait all upon thee, that thou mayest give them their meat in due season. And God is the one that provides the food for these creatures. That thou givest them, they gather, thou openest thy hand, they are filled with good. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die and return to their dust. Verse 30, thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. And so God is the one that gives these creatures life. God is the one that provides for them. And then God also is the one that when it is time, he takes their life. And the same is true for us. God gives us life. God sustains us. And it is appointed unto man once to die. There is coming a day where our time on this earth will end. God knows when that is. We do not know when that is. These creatures that God has created, they don't know when their time on this earth is. But each life will end according to God's plan. And as we look at creation, there's a definite ebb and flow in creation. We hear a lot about global warming and climate change. So, just a couple thoughts about that. Climate change is always happening. It's happening in each locality, and some places get warmer, some get cooler. They change from day to day, from hour to hour. You think yesterday got into the 80s yesterday. Today it's only supposed to get in the 60s. We had some rain last night. You look at the climate change in the last 24 hours, even for us. And our climate is always changing, and mankind has adapted, and animals have adapted, and our world goes through those changing times, and they're ordered by the Lord, and we've got to be good stewards. Don't get me wrong, good stewards of God's creation, but God has created it for us to enjoy at the same time, and so. We need to enjoy it, and there is a natural ebb and flow to the world's climate and so on. Verse number 31, as we close this out here. Well, we're pretty much past time. We'll end there at verse number 30, end at realizing God's creation, the beauty of it, the awesomeness of it, and the fact that God sustains it. Now, what does that mean for us? It means this. God is the giver of life. He's created us. He's created all things for us to enjoy. We must be good stewards of them. And you read about the awesomeness of God's creation. I mentioned it already. I love watching the Discovery Channel, all that, to see about God's awesomeness and the grand design of his creation. Our God, he is worthy of honor, worthy of praise. This psalm begins out, bless the Lord, O my soul, O Lord my God, because of his honor, because of his majesty, and it's evidenced in his creation. So I'll leave you with that today. I know it's kind of a different psalm we went through, but man, it's awesome to read about God's wonderful creation. All right, I'm going to let you go with that for the day. Good morning, Cliff and Karen. Lee and Angie, thanks for being on. Brian and Cindy, great to see you on. Have a blessed day today. Ingrid, thanks for joining us. The rest of you who are watching, thank you so much for being a part of our Power Up. On Facebook and on YouTube. If you're watching later in the day, thank you so much for being a part of it. Lord bless you all. Have a great day. Hope to see you tonight at 6 o'clock for our church services. Have a good one, and we'll see you tonight and tomorrow, Lord willing.